This is the Pulse Beat. It's said that every inspiration starts with a spark, and we're here to ignite a fire. Join us as we showcase conversations from esteemed experts in a multitude of specialties. You'll find experts discussing topics that stimulate, inspire, and encourage. From the famous and familiar to the lesser known, the Pulse Beat will be your go-to for stirring up a sense of truth and optimism. A podcast that pulses truth with every interview and story, bringing hope into dark places.
Well, welcome everybody to another episode of our Pulse Beat podcast. And I'm so excited about our guest and friend. Many of you probably feel like he's your best friend. If you've heard from him before, he's been a regular on our Pulse Beat. He's been a regular just in the community of health and wellness. And I know that he's on the cusp of many breakthroughs in the medical and wellness community. But today we have the honor of speaking about, preparedness from a standpoint of a neurosurgeon and how do we prepare for the couple months coming up, the time that we're living in right now. And I'm so excited to have you with us, Dr. Avery Jackson.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. It's an honor. I'm excited about this topic. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about how can we, be ready to go to help sustain our immune systems and our bodies, the upcoming change in seasons, the barometric pressure, drop in temperatures, everybody's got runny noses. And so what are some natural things that we can do to really improve everyone's overall health and their overall kind of situation, both and for their families kind of going into this time. So I appreciate you having me.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And for those that have not heard from you before, maybe have saw you in passing, can you share a little bit about your background, because it's so impressive? I mean, here we are today talking with a neurosurgeon, esteemed neurosurgeon, that's going to be talking about how we can stay healthy. And one thing we're going to talk about today is also how stress affects our immune system. And, we were talking before the call and what's going on with the hurricane and the election and fires and everything that's going on globally. It's overwhelming for our brain. And how do we handle that?
Yeah, that's right. So a little bit about me. I'm Avery Jackson, board certified neurosurgeon. I've been in practice for over 20 years and seen a lot of people, a lot of different issues, brain trauma, spine, back issues, chronic pain, all connected with anxiety, depression, all connected. So I think, what's really important is, you got to take care of your health and your family. And so that starts with obviously your faith. You want to really build that up. You want to have great relationships. And, in the current setting, we don't really realize how important the first two issues are. And then, of course, the third is going to be your physical health, and Cardio Miracle plays a role in that, as well as your emotional health. The reason why I say that is that when you look at the fight or flight phenomenon that we all know about, was coined by Walter Cannon, actually at Harvard. And then about 70 years later in the same lab at Harvard, Herbert Benson, a famous cardiologist, really began to create what is the science or the field of psychoneuroendoimmunology. And that field deals with, it is, right? And it deals with your emotional life, your physical life, your spiritual life, and how they all come together to either benefit you when things are getting tough, or not benefit you when things are getting tough, and they're all combined. So we've gone away from the model of just saying it's just about your physical body. And we understand, based on those models by Walter Cannon and then Herbert Benson, that there's more to it. And so with that, protect your relationships, make sure that you get exercise, and also lots of sun. What's amazing in terms of what effects the sun has just 15 minutes a day of walking outside can make a huge difference at the level of the mitochondria, so the power pack cells in your body, so that you have more energy, right? And then that's where Cardio Miracle plays a role. There's so many good things to mention about Cardio Miracle. We could be here for hours. So let me cut to the chase. Let me cut to the chase then on a couple of highlights during this season, the runny nose, flu season, change in temperature. I really enjoy the antioxidants that are in Cardio Miracle, and I want to focus in for a minute on the vitamin D. The reason I want to do that is because we know that the vitamin D is actually a hormone. It's not a vitamin per se, but it regulates your immune system, inflammatory systems, your bones, your bone marrow, right? We've heard of bone marrow transplants, right? So all of this is helped or hindered by vitamin D. And Cardio Miracle actually has a large amount of vitamin D, which is extremely important, and it helps in activating the vitamin D. What do I mean by that? So when you're looking at a cold or flu season, you want to make sure your vitamin D levels are adequate, because the vitamin D will support your immune system, of course, along with vitamin C, but vitamin D in particular. Cardio Miracle has 4 times the recommended daily amount, and I'm glad that it's in there. John is brilliant in thinking about issues that will affect our health. And as people, we go through seasons where there can be more, there can be more colds and so forth. And you're going to be around people who have colds, and that's how our bodies are made. But activated vitamin D is critical and instrumental in supporting our immune systems. Okay. And so activated means when you get the sun, around sun that activates the vitamin D, it makes it bioavailable. So now your body can use it in the right way. Well, if you don't have the nutritional foundation, if you don't have the vitamin D, if you don't have some of the other components that we find in Cardio Miracle, then you're behind the 8 ball. What happens? And, and what happens is inflammation goes through the roof when you have a cold in your lungs, right, in your chest. If there's not adequate vitamin D, then you have a larger or greater inflammatory response. So there's more coughing, there's more pain, there's all of that. Your lungs are more reactive. When vitamin D is on board, those decrease. So I'm just telling you all, that's a big deal. And I'm, again, proud that Cardio Miracle has that vitamin D in there, okay, along with other components that buffer the vitamin D and the immune system. So when I think about other things now, you add stress to it, right? So we know that you've got your immune system is challenged because of the change in weather. And, now you throw in lack of sleep, throw in the stress that all of us are facing at different levels. Mm-hmm. And that's why the other parts are so important. The L-arginine, L-citrulline, the ornithine, carnitine. So these are really important. The hawthorn berry, right, which is really cool. These are important because, again,
what is interesting is people are running around drinking hawthorn syrup, right?
Right.
That's kind of like a staple for a long time, but we're not even sure. I mean, Dr. Avey, you and I have talked about it many times, is if something is made with a lot of sugar and it's in a lot of these, these syrups, they take one element of possible, tool to be able to help with your immune system, then put it into a bottle mixed with possibly sometimes high fructose corn syrup, maybe a flavoring, maybe a coloring. And at the end of the day, the amount that you're actually getting in the hawthorn is very, very small. And now you're getting all this other junk with it. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about many times is we don't have all the synthetics. We don't have all the fillers, everything else in the Cardio Miracle. You really have just the raw nutrients. That's exciting to me.
It's very exciting. And I also want to add, we're in a fast food society, right? It's fast paced. We don't have a lot of time. We're doing so many different things, right? We're industrious. It used to be thought that fast food was bad. Fast food had preservatives. Fast food lacked nutrients, right? And now we have an organic food that is fast.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a good fast, right? Cardio Miracle is
Absolutely.
Fast. It's powder. Yeah. It's a powder that I put in my water twice a day. It tastes good. It's fast, but yet it gives me all of these amazing nutrients. It helps support my immune system. It helps support, my thinking process. When our thinking is slow, that's called bradyphrenia, slowness of thought, right? So the beets that are in there and the other components really supercharge my thinking, and so that I'm sharp, especially during surgery. So again, this is the opposite. This is the good form of fast food that society demands, right? That society demands, and it's a food. It's wonderful.
Well, I know myself. I mean, you and I both travel extensively, and you walk through the airport, and you're kind of scratching your head going, what do I eat? Because we know that there's different energy levels of food. So if your energy level is up here with the Cardio Miracle product, and then you're walking through an airport, you eat a lot of junk, your energy is going to come down. And when our energy comes down and we're not stimulating our T cells, this is when we run into the problem with our immune system, correct?
That's exactly right. That's why there are these little packets too of Cardio Miracle that I'll take out and I'll put in a bottle of water, shake it up, and between flights, I'm good. I drink that and I get a boost and I'm able to read and do some other things on the plane, and I'm more productive than I would be otherwise. So it's also a help as it relates to with flights. You're sitting for long periods, or even if you're at home, or if you're in the workplace and you're doing a lot of sitting, looking at the computer. Well, the nitric oxide is an amazing formula, one-of-a-kind formula that it extends the release and sustainability of bioavailable nitric oxide in your body up to 33 hours, which is absolutely amazing. What does that do? It does a whole bunch of stuff, but in a nutshell, there are two things that I'm really excited about. The first of which is it dilates the blood vessels so you get more blood flow, which is important to your brain, to your lungs, to your liver, to your, your legs. The other piece is that it actually helps to support the reparative processes in the blood vessels when the blood vessel walls begin to break down on the inside. And so that's really fascinating because there's a ton of science out there behind that. I think there's hundreds, if not 1,000 papers on nitric oxide's effect on damaged blood vessel walls. So this has a monumental nitric oxide formula that's sustained and supported by all of the other over 50 ingredients that exist in it.
Well, and all these people, we're sitting here today with monumental attacks on our country, not only with the hurricanes. And we were just talking before to a young lady that now you have tornadoes on top of hurricanes, and pretty soon, who knows, right? And now we look at the recovery phase of all of this. We're praying that the damage will be minimal, but goodness, people walk out of this. I mean, I read an article yesterday talking about the mold spores now that are already starting to form in the warm areas of Florida and Carolinas where they're in the air, and mold again is insidious. I mean, our body is not conditioned nor ready to take in a bunch of mold spores, and not for our body to repair itself. So the ingredients in the Cardio Miracle and the attack of the body with the mold spores, what are your thoughts about that?
So I think the mold spores are a major issue. We see it even when we're in old buildings as well. And you're absolutely right, Lisa, that it's in there, and we need to be able to defend and to support our immune systems in that regards. So Cardio Miracle has a number of wonderful ingredients in there that are extremely helpful. I think about the taurine, the ribose as well in there, and the carnitine to really, again, support our systems. This is what's really interesting. So you're bringing up the storms and so forth. And I'll just say, oftentimes in the air when there are storms, there can be sulfur dioxide. There were some studies looking at that and other components. And, especially when the dust kicks up and what have you, and those can be neurotoxic, for instance. And so Cardio Miracle can really help buffer the negative side effects of those toxins, either in the air or in the water or what we're eating or dealing with. So again, this is impressive to be a pretty simple food that's super basic. It tastes great. And it's quick. It's a wonderful neuroprotective in the sense that it's supporting our immune systems. We're getting the appropriate nutrients that we need to function completely. And so it does that. And then our immune systems and our bodies do their thing to help protect us.
That's beautifully put. The other thing is when you talked about circulation and, sitting on an airplane, they would always, we would tell our patients, right, move your legs back and forth and be a little bit active if you can on an airplane. Well, many times if a person is under stress, it starts to, your hands are cold, your feet are cold, your nose is cold. And it's because the body has a sympathetic and a parasympathetic system, right? That it starts to pull the blood to where it's needed the most.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And I was going to say, so that's your hypothalamus regulates your autonomic system, your parasympathetics, as you mentioned, and sympathetic systems. And so part of that, though, is stress. When you encounter stress, your system, your brain says, hey, look, we need to conserve the blood. We need to have it to go to certain parts and not others. So your hands get cold and so forth. And so it's important to be able to combat that with a food that helps to make sure the blood gets to where it needs, and so that your systems are all online and at attention and ready to go as you're marching into the winter months.
Well, the life is in the blood too. We got to keep that blood flowing. And so I marvel at this product, with over 700 ingredients, over 53 nutrients, or 700 nutrients, over 53 ingredients. Actually, they added the 3 new ones now, which is super exciting. As a brain surgeon, I'm sure that the idea of, some of the new ingredients that are in the product are very beneficial. You look at, specifically the products for the brain, right?
That's right. I mean, I love the NAC, the NAC, I think is great. The lion's mane is also really wonderful. And I can tell you that when I think about those two in particular, you think about how the NAC supports, again, your mitochondria, and supports a whole host of metabolic reactions in our body. And then that lion's mane for the brain is also just wonderful. So I'm really impressed, and I love it, and I feel great. So I'm glad that John was kind enough, or I should say brilliant enough, to say, how can he help people around the country and around the world be able to better combat these stressors, the infections, the internal stressors and the external stressors. And he says, hey, within this fast food, within this organic food, this is the way to go about it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And you know what? It's fun. I know that, time is limited, but you talk about the future, and you and I are excitedly embarking upon a clinical study with a number of people up in beautiful Michigan. And we've had so much fun. And you've been so instrumental in putting this together and helping people really understand. Wasn't that fun when you saw these people? I mean, truly, you and I were in an industrial setting, and there's individuals there that probably, I looked around, and they probably don't even know what it feels like to feel good, right?
Well, that's exactly right. When you have people that are in foundries, right, they're inhaling a lot of different substances. Right. They need that vitamin C. They need that immune support, right? And so this is super exciting. Also, I really like these case studies, right? Because now it's not just, hey, I feel good, even though I do, but look at my blood work. Look at the data that shows that that Cardio Miracle really helps the immune and support the immune system and the other systems. So this is a great example. I'm super excited about it. I remember talking to one of the gentlemen there, and he says he intermittent fasts. I said, great, Cardio Miracle is wonderful on a fast or intermittent fast, because it doesn't affect the blood sugars, and it gives a low glycemic index. So we had a great conversation about that. And when I fast, intermittent or otherwise, I'm on the Cardio Miracle. I have great taste, and it still helps me with my fasting plan and my health overall. So I'm really excited about that too.
Well, when somebody like you says that, with your busy schedule and as a neurosurgeon and taking care of patients, then I know you do a ton of outreach too. So thank you for who you are, and what you've done for Cardio Miracle and the people that we've yet to meet. And I thank you for this show. And I know we're going to be doing a lot more, a whole educational forum here shortly, and we want everybody to stay tuned. So stay tuned to this guy, Dr. Avery Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us today, and God bless you.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. God bless you.